Can I ask you something honest? When was the last time you felt peaceful? Not happy, not excited, not even just okay, but truly peaceful. If you can't remember, you're not alone. And today, I want to talk with you about why that is and what we can do about it. Hello, my wonderful listeners. Welcome to today's English listening practice. Before we begin, I want to say something from my heart. I upload new videos to our channel every day for you to learn and grow. Don't forget to support me so I can continue doing this. You can help me see our channel in front of more people by subscribing, becoming a member, liking, and commenting on each of my videos. Please don't forget to do these. Thank you so much. Now, let's talk about something really important: how to simplify your life. Today's listening practice is different. We're not just practicing English. We're having a real conversation about life, about how we all feel sometimes, about being tired, being busy, being lost. I'm going to speak naturally, like I'm talking to a friend. Your job is simple. Just listen. Let the English wash over you. Don't worry if you don't catch every word. Focus on understanding the main ideas, the feelings, the story. This is how you improve listening, by listening to natural, real English conversations about real topics. Are you ready? Get comfortable. Maybe close your eyes if that helps you focus. And just listen. If you liked this lesson, don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you can keep improving your English with us. Let me tell you something I've noticed. We live in a strange time. We have everything. We have phones that connect us to the whole world. We have information at our fingertips. We have opportunities our grandparents could never imagine. We have so much stuff. But somehow we're exhausted. Not tired from working too hard, not tired from doing too much, just tired. Deep in our bones. Tired in our hearts. Why? I think it's because we're carrying an invisible weight. You can't see it, but you can feel it. It's made of all the things on your mind, all the messages you haven't answered, all the tasks on your to-do list, all the things you think you should be doing. This invisible weight gets heavier every day. More emails, more notifications, more people wanting something from you, more things you should do, could do, need to do. And society tells us this is normal. Society says, be busy, do more, work harder, have it all, be everywhere, never stop. We celebrate people who are busy. When someone asks, "How are you?" the most common answer is, "I'm so busy," as if being busy is something to be proud of. But here's the truth. Being busy doesn't mean you're living well. Sometimes it means you're running away from yourself. Let me explain what I mean. When you're always busy, always moving, always doing, always thinking, you never have to stop and ask yourself the hard questions. Am I happy? Am I living the life I want? What do I really need? Busyness becomes a way to hide from these questions. It becomes a comfortable excuse. I don't have time to think about that. I'm too busy. But your body knows. Your heart knows. That's why you feel tired even when you haven't done anything physical. That's why you can't sleep even though you're exhausted. That's why you feel empty. The problem isn't what you're doing. The problem is what you're thinking.
Your mind never stops. Even when your body is resting, your mind is racing. Thinking about yesterday, worrying about tomorrow, making lists, replaying conversations, imagining problems that haven't happened yet. It's like having 100 tabs open on your computer. Eventually, everything slows down. Everything gets heavy. Everything stops working properly. Your mind is the same. When it's too full, when there's too much noise, when there's no space, nothing works the way it should. Imagine a room filled with furniture, boxes, old things, broken things, things you don't need anymore. There's no space to move, no space to breathe. No light can get in. Your mind is that room. And simplifying your life is like cleaning that room. Not all at once, just one corner at a time. Just making a little bit of space so you can breathe again. So light can come in again. That's what we're going to talk about today. How to create that space. How to let go of the weight. How to live lighter.
Let me ask you something. How many times this week did you say yes to something you didn't want to do? Be honest. How many times did you agree to help someone when you were already exhausted? How many times did you accept an invitation when you really just wanted to rest? How many times did you take on more work, more responsibility, more stuff? And why did you say yes? Maybe because you wanted to be kind. Maybe because you didn't want to disappoint anyone. Maybe because you thought, if I say no, they won't like me anymore. I understand. I've been there. We've all been there. But here's the truth. Saying yes to everyone else means saying no to yourself. Every time you agree to something that drains your energy, you're choosing pressure over peace. You're choosing other people's needs over your own well-being. And I know what you're thinking, but that's selfish. I should help people. I should be kind. You're right. Kindness is important, but there's a difference between kindness and self-sacrifice. Kindness can come from a full heart. Self-sacrifice comes from an empty one. When you say yes to everything, you eventually have nothing left to give. Not to others, not to yourself. You become resentful, angry, exhausted. That's not kindness. That's just burning out. So what's the solution? Learning to say no. I know. It sounds simple, but it's one of the hardest things to do. We've been taught that saying no is rude, that it means we don't care, that we're being difficult or selfish. But saying no is actually an act of honesty. It's saying, I care about you, but I also care about myself. And right now, I don't have the energy to give you what you need. That's not selfish. That's realistic. That's healthy. Think of it this way. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you give and give until there's nothing left, you can't help anyone. You can't even help yourself. Saying no protects your energy. It creates a boundary, not a wall, a boundary. What's the difference? A wall keeps everyone out all the time. A boundary is more like a door. Sometimes it's open, sometimes it's closed. You decide based on your energy, your needs, your capacity. When someone asks you for something, you pause. You check in with yourself. You ask, do I have the energy for this? Will this bring me peace or pressure? And then you answer honestly. Let me share something personal with me. A few months ago, a friend invited me to a party. I love this friend. I really do. But I was exhausted that week. I had been working too much. I needed rest. The old me would have said yes. The old me would have gone to the party, pretended to have fun, and then felt even more exhausted afterward.
But this time, I said no. I said, "I'm so sorry, but I can't make it this time. I'm really tired and I need to rest. But I'd love to see you next week, maybe just the two of us for coffee." And you know what? My friend understood. She said, "Of course, take care of yourself." That's it. No drama, no guilt, no lost friendship. In fact, she respected me more for being honest. Your body will tell you when to say no. Sometimes it's a feeling in your chest, like tightness, like pressure. Sometimes it's a voice in your head, a quiet no that you usually ignore. Start listening to that voice. Practice saying no in small ways first. "I can't right now. I need some time to think about it. That doesn't work for me." Simple, direct, honest. You don't need to explain. You don't need to make excuses. You don't need to feel guilty. No is a complete sentence. When you start protecting your energy, something amazing happens. You have more to give when you do say yes. Your yeses become more meaningful. Your time becomes more valuable. And you start to feel like yourself again. If you like this lesson, don't forget to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you can keep improving your English with us.
Let me tell you about coffee. I drink coffee every morning. Have been for years. It's part of my routine. But a few weeks ago, I had a realization that honestly shook me. I was making my coffee one morning, same as always, when I suddenly thought, when was the last time I actually tasted my coffee? I couldn't remember. Because every morning, I make coffee while checking my phone, while planning my day, while thinking about my to-do list, while worrying about emails. I drink the coffee, but I'm not really there. My body is drinking coffee, but my mind is somewhere else entirely. And I thought, if I can't even be present for my coffee, what else am I missing? This is what we do now. We do everything while doing something else. We call it multitasking. We think it makes us productive, efficient, successful. But here's the truth. Multitasking is a lie. Your brain can't actually do two things at once. What it does is switch back and forth very quickly between tasks. And every time it switches, it loses a little bit of energy, a little bit of focus. By the end of the day, you've done a lot of things, but nothing feels complete. Nothing feels satisfying. You're exhausted, but you can't even remember what you did. Does this sound familiar? The solution is simple, but hard. Do one thing at a time. Not because it's more efficient, but because it brings you back to yourself. When you do one thing with your full attention, something magical happens. That thing becomes meaningful. Making coffee becomes a moment of peace. Washing dishes becomes meditation. Walking becomes breathing. Eating becomes gratitude. Let me give you an example from my own life. Last week, I had dinner with a friend. Usually, when I eat, I'm scrolling on my phone or watching TV or thinking about work. But this time, I made a decision. I'm just going to eat. I'm going to pay attention to the food, to the taste, to the conversation. And it was amazing. I actually tasted my food. I noticed flavors I usually miss. I listened to my friend, really listened, and heard things I would have missed. The meal lasted maybe 40 minutes, but it felt like time stopped. Like I was actually alive, actually present, actually there. That's what happens when you slow down, when you give something your full attention. You're not doing more, but you're experiencing more. And here's the beautiful part. When you focus on one thing at a time, you actually save time.
Because you're not switching between tasks. You're not distracted. You're not making mistakes that you have to fix later. You just do the thing, fully, completely, and then you move on. It's like gathering all the pieces of yourself back together. Instead of being scattered across 100 different things, you become whole again. You feel calm again. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one thing today. Just one. Maybe it's your morning coffee. Maybe it's your lunch. Maybe it's a conversation with someone you love. Do that one thing with your full attention. Close the other tabs in your mind. Put down your phone. Turn off the TV. Just be there. And notice how it feels. I promise you, it will feel different, better, lighter, because you're not just going through the motions anymore. You're actually living.
Now, let's talk about letting go. This is hard, maybe the hardest part of simplifying your life, because we hold on to things, not just physical things, though those too, but emotional things, memories, regrets, old versions of ourselves. Let me tell you a story. A few months ago, I decided to clean out my closet. I opened the door and looked inside, and I felt heavy. There were clothes I haven't worn in years, clothes that don't fit anymore, clothes from a job I hated, clothes from a relationship that ended. Each piece of clothing was a memory, some good, some painful, some just old. And I realized I'm not holding on to these clothes because I need them. I'm holding on to them because they remind me of who I used to be. But here's the truth. That person doesn't exist anymore. I'm not the same person who wore that dress. I'm not the same person who needed that jacket. I'm not the same person who had those dreams. And that's okay. People change. We grow. We become different versions of ourselves. But if we keep holding on to the old versions, we can't make space for the new ones. So I started letting go. One piece at a time. I picked up each item and asked, does this still serve me? Not, is this expensive, or might I need this someday? But, does this still serve who I am now? Most of the time, the answer was no. And with each item I let go of, I felt lighter. Literally lighter. Like I was putting down a heavy bag I'd been carrying for too long. I filled 3 big boxes. Clothes to donate, clothes to throw away, clothes to give to friends. And when I was done, my closet had space. Empty space. Room to breathe. But more than that, I felt space inside myself, like I'd cleared out not just physical clutter, but emotional clutter too, because those clothes weren't just clothes. They were old identities, old expectations, old versions of who I thought I should be. Letting them go was like saying, thank you for who I was when I needed this, but I don't need it anymore. And this doesn't just apply to physical things. We also hold on to emotional clutter. Old grudges, past mistakes, painful memories, failed relationships, regrets, guilt, shame. These things take up space in our minds and hearts. They make us heavy. They keep us stuck. And just like with physical clutter, we need to let them go. Not because we're forgetting, not because they didn't matter, but because we're choosing peace over attachment. I'll give you another example. For years, I carried guilt about a friendship that ended badly. We had a fight, and I said things I regret. The friendship never recovered. And for years, I replayed that conversation in my mind, over and over, wishing I had said something different, wishing I could go back and fix it. But I couldn't. And holding on to that guilt wasn't helping anyone. It wasn't bringing my friend back. It wasn't making me a better person. It was just weighing me down. So one day, I decided to let it go. I wrote a letter to my friend, not to send, just for myself. I said everything I wanted to say. I apologized. I forgave myself.
And then I burned the letter. It sounds dramatic, I know, but it was symbolic. It was a way of saying, I'm releasing this. I'm putting it down. I'm making space for peace. And you know what? It worked. I don't think about that friendship every day anymore. When I do think about it, it doesn't hurt as much. The guilt is gone. The weight is gone. There's just peace. That's what letting go does. It creates space. Space for new memories, new dreams, new versions of yourself. So, here's what I want you to do. Start small. Pick one thing you've been holding on to. Maybe it's a physical object. Maybe it's an emotional burden. Ask yourself, does this still serve me? If the answer is no, let it go. You don't have to do it all at once. Just start with one thing, one drawer, one memory, one regret, and notice how it feels. Notice the space it creates. Then, when you're ready, let go of something else. Little by little, you'll feel lighter. You'll feel freer. You'll make room for what truly matters.
So, what happens when you start simplifying your life? What happens when you say no to protect your energy? When you do one thing at a time? When you let go of what weighs you down? You start living light. Now, living light doesn't mean living with nothing. It doesn't mean getting rid of everything you own or becoming a monk in the mountains. It just means not being weighed down anymore. It shows up in small ways. Your mornings feel quieter. You wake up and instead of immediately reaching for your phone, you just breathe. You say no without guilt. Someone asks you to do something, and you check in with yourself first. If the answer is no, you say it clearly and kindly without apologizing. You notice things you used to miss, the way the morning light comes through your window, the taste of your tea, the sound of rain. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop scrolling through social media feeling like everyone else has it figured out, and you're falling behind. You realize your life is beautiful just as it is. You don't need to do more, have more, be more. You're enough. Living light means asking yourself one simple question over and over. Does this bring me peace? And if it does, you move toward it. If it doesn't, you step back. It's not always easy. Sometimes you'll slip back into old habits. Sometimes you'll say yes when you mean no. Sometimes you'll fill up your life with clutter again. That's okay. This isn't about perfection. It's about remembering and returning. It's like standing by a lake. When the water is calm, you can see your reflection clearly. You can see yourself, who you really are. But when you keep stirring the water with too many thoughts, too many worries, too many tasks, the reflection gets blurry. You lose yourself. Simplifying your life is about letting the water become still again, so you can see yourself clearly, so you can remember who you are beneath all the noise.
We've been talking for about 30 minutes now about simplifying life, about letting go, about living light. And maybe some of what I said resonated with you. Maybe some of it didn't. That's okay. The important thing is this: you deserve peace. You deserve space. You deserve a life that feels light, not heavy. And you don't need to change everything at once. You don't need to overhaul your entire life tomorrow. Just start with one thing. Ask yourself, what's one thing I could remove from my day so I can breathe a little easier? Maybe it's checking your phone first thing in the morning. Maybe it's agreeing to plans you don't really want.
Maybe it's holding on to something that no longer serves you. Whatever it is, let it go. Make space. Choose peace. Before we finish, I want to leave you with one final question. Don't answer it out loud. Just think about it. Let it sit with you. Here it is. What can I release to make my life lighter tomorrow? Think about that. And then, when you're ready, do it. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. I hope this conversation helped you not just with your English listening practice, but with your life. Remember, simplicity is not a luxury. It's a choice, and it's available to you right now. Choose peace. Choose space. Choose light. Until next time, take care of yourself. Be gentle with yourself. And remember, you don't need to carry everything. You can put some things down. It's okay to rest. It's okay to say no. It's okay to live lighter. Thank you. And I'll see you in the next practice.